Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases.
And celebrating our semi-sesquicentennial episode. Did you guys know that?
You're going to have to explain that one here in just a second. Thank you for listening. Let's get started. How many is that? Like 35?
75. Did you know this is episode number 75, guys? And did you know that semi-sesquicentennial means 75?
Didn't we just do 60 like 2 weeks ago? Something like that?
Seems like,
I think so.
time flies when you're hanging out with your buddies. So anyway,
75.
gave that a counteroo. We're up to 75 this episode. And I also looked up that the stone, the 75th anniversary stone, is diamond. So I'm expecting some. Dawn, you can get me a tennis bracelet. Nick, maybe a necklace of some sort.
Enjoy the wonderful diamonds of my knowledge and presence here.
The tennis bracelet can go with your tennis hat. Your tennis, what's it called? Visor.
There you go. Yeah.
Matching.
Oh, the Claytorian visor. Excellent. All right. I will accept both of those non-gifts. With that, why don't we hubity boops, blingy, blingy, blingy into our, that was a diamond noise, into our news and notes for today. And we would like to preface these news and notes by letting you know that all of our news and notes are located in the show notes of today's episode. So if you would like to investigate further what we're talking about, you can go click on those links. So we'd like to start with the fact that Panic/Playdate agrees with Dawn. So they've except for the fact they've done this before. Maybe I should say what I'm talking about. Panic/Playdate pushes a non-Twitter, non-X involvement. So there's a link in today's show notes, as I just mentioned, to their tweet saying, hey, we're more active over here. Now, in the past, they've said, oh, we're leaving Twitter, and they keep using it. So maybe they mean it this time. But as of yesterday, January 27th, 2025, they said, hey, we'll be on the Blue Skis and the Mastodon and our email, and they're recommending email. But you can go to those other places too. And who knows, maybe they'll keep somewhat active on Twitter. But for now, the exodus seems to be growing larger, and the Blue Skis seem to be the place people are going. So you can find us there. I also have a individual account. Do you guys have individual accounts besides the Hello Playdate account over on the Blue Skis?
I think I do, but I haven't logged into my individual account in quite a while. I've been using the Playdate account mostly. Excuse me,
Okay.
our Hello Playdate account.
Yeah,
I was using that daily for quite a while and got a lot of follows and engagement there. And then when I stopped using it daily, we're still getting follows there, but I need to get back to or I was posting daily. I posted daily for 3 weeks just to see, and every day I was getting like 5 follows. So we got quite a little following there. Need to
nice.
get back to doing that.
I've got a for amusement only games Blue Sky, but don't really use it.
Okay. I have an Elephant Eater account over there if anyone wants to follow. I'm there too. But Hello Playdate is probably the one you're most interested in if you're listening to our voices right now. So anyway, there's that's all the news from Panic. So we're gonna jump into some other news from Engadget, our homie. Cheyenne McDonald is at it again, and she wrote this article called I think I found the most wholesome game in the Playdate catalog. So she discovered Jump Rope Star with some adorable artwork by a 5-year-old, and it's a jump roping game. So if you would like to read that article, you know where to find it. Guys, did you know about Jump Rope Star, or is Cheyenne McDonald enlightening your Playdate experience here?
I think I played a bit of this a while back when it came out, and I was trying to like do multiple jumps in one. Like when the character's in the air, I was trying to swing the rope around multiple times, and
Yeah.
that's a fun little challenge. But
Hmm.
I haven't played it in a couple of weeks.
Some of the literature looks like you can do a multiplayer game too. Is that right?
I don't know. I haven't played many multiplayer games on the Playdate, but
Yeah,
sure.
there's a little YouTube video. I watched it, and one person is holding the D-pad and the buttons while the other person is turning the crank. So
Hmm.
I read through the catalog page, and it lists, if I'm not mistaken, a two-player mode. So I have not played this game. If you've played this game and have two-player confirmation, please chat with us. Sounds really cool. But in the meantime, Cheyenne McDonald, back at it. Good to see you back, Cheyenne McDonald. Thank you for pumping the Playdate games. And I guess that brings us to ooh, bitty boop. Our next news and note, which is, oh boy, this isn't just an uncranked corner this time, guys. This is like an uncranked stadium. Are you ready for all this uncranked news? So the Uncranked Playdate Visual Arts and Music Showcase is gonna happen on February 28th, 2025, and it honors members in the Playdate community for music and art. And you, yes, you, dear listener, can nominate folks by February 10th at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. So I guess that's like midnight, February 9th for Pacific folks. There's a form. It's linked in the show notes. And if you have been inspired by music or art on the Playdate, by golly, get yourself over there, nominate who you think should be on that list. Sounds like there's going to be a real positive, fun presentation on February 28th from the Uncranked Playdate Visual Arts and Music Showcase. You guys voted yet?
Well, these are nominations, so
Yeah,
I have not nominated yet. No,
you've not nominated.
but I look
I have
forward to
nomination,
voting.
but
If there's an
yeah,
opportunity to vote, I will vote.
You can vote for a nominee, right? Like that's a real thing that I'm saying, right?
Can proclaim a nominee, right? Nominate a nominee,
No, you
right? And
cast
then you vote
cast
on the
a.
nominees later.
Okay, my brain hurts already. Here's the next news and note that
Okay.
Uncrate. Whoa, are we still talking about that one?
No, we're moving on.
Okay, I thought I heard an interjection. Uncranked number 5 is available. This is not new news. It's old news that we didn't cover that I should have covered, but Uncranked number 5 is available, but there's just a couple more copies before going to batch number 2. So if you want this double-sized issue, this is over 70 pages of content. There's interviews with Fat Nose Games and a whole bunch more like Dave Hayden, Vic, etc. Tons of articles in there. Oh boy, you should check it out. But really, for real new news is that Uncranked number 6 comes out on January 30th. This is, a mere day or two away from the time this podcast airs. Pre-order opens at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and subscribers are going to get their zines first, and then everyone else. Digital copies are going to be sent out to subs on January 30th. So if you want it straight away, don't forget to subscribe. Speaking of which, 2025 Uncranked subscriptions are still available, and we've got a link to that in the show notes too. So, guys, Uncranked number 5 out, Uncranked number 6 on the way, 2025 subscriptions here. Guys, calm me down.
It's big. It's always a big week in Uncranked World.
Mhm.
Always new things happening. So I'm looking forward to reading number 6. I've already read number 5. I'm looking forward to number 6 in 2 days.
Yes. Thank goodness. Zanya's around, giving us something to talk about in our news and notes section with not only all that, but also, my goodness, you guys ready for this? It's coming anyway. Uncranked Game Jam Winter Edition is taking place right now. We've got a link to that in the show notes, as you know, and about 4 days remain from when this episode airs. Submissions were open from January 24th, 2025 to February 1st, 2025 at 9 p.m. So you've got a few more days to jump in there. If you want to know the theme options, you can make games based on Below Zero. That is one theme option. You could also make a game based on the theme metal, like black metal, or night, like not knight, but night, Night. So put your stinking caps on and get those jammy game fingers ready and jam a game into the Playdate before February 1st, 2025 to be eligible to be a part of this game jam. Pregnant pause for other voices to happen in this podcast.
I looked today to see if they were available to try out yet, but I guess we'll try them out this weekend
They're still
after
jamming,
submissions are
guys.
closed. Yeah.
Come on.
I
You
saw
got to
one
give them.
one was up, but
Oh,
it was
really?
not
Wow.
well, it's not linked to the page, but I saw somebody
Mm.
tagged it as the Uncrate Game Jam just on the
Okay.
new releases.
Wow. Somebody
Yeah.
already jammed a game into the Playdate.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Well, if you need some coaxing, there are prizes involved. The first prize gets a custom-made Playdate item. And do you know what that item is? One of the
Let's
items
hear it.
is a Hello Playdate podcast t-shirt. You thought they were gone? You were wrong. They're gone all except for this one particular shirt. So if you want a podcast,
Hope it's in your size.
right, we're not discussing that part. This is the hype train, Nick, not the realist
Oh,
train.
sorry.
So come back later. A custom-made Playdate, Hello Playdate podcast t-shirt. We really sincerely have no more of these things. I only ordered to pre-orders except for one, and that was sent to Zanya so that she could give it away as a prize. And in addition to that, if you haven't had enough Hello Playdate podcast stuff, there's also going to be a very unique, uncranked issue number 4. This is not the traditional, printed in the tens of dozens uncranked issue number 4. This is a one-off uncranked issue number 4 with a special teal cover. And that's going to be signed by Donathan, Nicholas Cornelius Baldridge, and myself. And you get that one singular issue. What you do with that issue is completely up to you. If you want to line your bird cage or fuel your fire, anyone is just fine with us, but it will have our signatures on it. So do with that information what you will. And man, that's a first prize if I've ever heard one. What do you guys think?
If Ryan streaks at the Super Bowl this year, that thing's going to skyrocket in value.
Don't tempt me. All right, second prize. We're not stopping at first prize. Second prize is your choice of Playdate covers. You can get the aqua pizza or purple, a tote bag, blanket, or a t-shirt along with art from your game immortalized as a 3D printed art piece. Wow, that's fun. Third, fourth, and fifth prize is a copy of Uncranked magazine of your choice, issues number 1 through 6. And all Game Jam devs will be in issue number 7 of Uncranked magazine and have the option to be a part of the Uncranked Playdate atelier.
There you go. Very cool. That's a lot of
All right.
prizes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll
It
say.
is.
Yeah. So, yeah, all the prizes and everyone gets mentioned in Uncranked 7. Very cool. And if you're wondering, winners are going to be announced on Saturday, March 1st, 2025. Don, do you know anything about judges? Are you being a secret judge again? I feel like Don just sort of pops up out of nowhere and surprises us as being a judge.
I might be such a secret judge that I don't even know that I'm a judge if I'm a judge. So no, I don't know who the judges are.
Okay. Just curious. All right. Well, we are easing on down the road out of Uncranked Coliseum and moseying on down to Scenic Route Lane, the lane route, to let you know that Whiteout is complete, but not available yet. So I was chatting with Mr. Route today and saying, hey man, got any news for us? A little light today from the old panic. And he said, yeah, actually, Whiteout is complete. What? And gave me a little information about it. So strap in, guys. The Whiteout is made up of 4 chapters. Its ending is always the same, but there are several different permutations of it, ranging from relatively happy to tragic. So do with that information what you will. Ending's the same but different. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I
Also,
don't get that.
playthroughs. Playthroughs are taking Mr. Route about 2.5 hours to get through. Obviously he knows everything about the game, so I'm guessing it'll take Don about 5 hours and me about 25 to play through the Whiteout. He's got the same player profile system that most of his games use, so more than one person can play it. Or you can play on a different profile and do things differently. So that's a neat way to present the game. A few different save states, it sounds like. Cool. And he was proud of the fact that there are currently 31 ways to die, but the deaths are like in Post Hero, and you just respawn to a point slightly before you died. So sounds like it's nice and not too punishing. But I think he's mentioned this publicly before that this is a very different game for him. It's very dark, very yeah, very dark. I think is the way to sum this up in theme. So, guys, Mr. Route coming at you again. At some point, we're not sure when this is going to be released, but it's going to be released on catalog. Don, I know you like your catalog releases. So, yeah, what do you think?
Nick, what are your thoughts?
I am very excited for this release, so I'm looking forward to it.
hmm 31 Ways to Die has me intrigued. I liked there's a game called Reventure that's on Switch that I really like, where like the whole
Oh
game.
yeah,
Do you play that? Like the
you
whole thing
recommended it to me. That's right.
I've
is
never even
like
heard of it, but that's an amazing title.
it's like the whole game is exploring all the different ways to die. It's kind of a cute game though, but
Huh.
It's
the
like
fun of
Sierra games too.
the fun of it was finding all these different ways. So this intrigues me, and Scenic Route's going to be AAA quality. So
Bringing the heat.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for the chat, Mr. Route. We wish you all the best with your launch, whenever that happens to be. Let us know when that's coming out. We'll be happy to mention it, along with any new full Playdate games coming out. That goes for any dev. We're not just singling out Sir Route. We like to talk about all that stuff. But before we leave our doop news and notes, we're going to get you a little bit of a destination update because I think he heard us talking last episode saying there weren't any updates. And boy, howdy, there's three of them this time. Look out. Don, you want to tell us about these?
Yeah, Destination Playdate on YouTube published three, as Ryan pointed out. One for Jump Truck, the stunt racing truck game. One for Tenebra, the top-down puzzle in the dark game, and one for Wire Walk, the Zelda-like Link Between Worlds adventure game. So I only watched the Wire Walk video so far, and it was pretty long. It was almost 15 minutes, but look
Huh.
forward to watching the others. But I was surprised to see three when I went to check out the channel. So
Curious about the wire walk one. What'd you see in there? Did it feel like it was a real long RPG type game, or what
I've
kind of
played
vibe
a
were
bit
you
of that
getting?
game, and I really enjoyed it, and it's got some good humor and some really interesting um I don't want to say systems, but gameplay elements. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I think I recommended it to you guys when I played a bit of it. I want to play some more. But the dev and he kind of get into a little bit of a in the comments because he wasn't a fan of loading times between certain elements. Like if you walk into a building, there's a loading screen, and um I felt that it was represented fine, but the dev didn't. So the dev made a video too and posted in the comments. There's a little bit
Beef.
of a lag. There's a little bit of a lag when you play in mirror mode, but it's not that big a difference, in my opinion. But
I
you
I've
can watch
still
the
never
video.
messed with mirror mode. Have you all?
A little bit. It really does depend on some games. There is a big difference, and
Yeah.
Destination Playdate is very good at saying, look, mirror mode, it's unplayable. You gotta play it on device, and I can't show it. I can't review this game, or this feature of this game is not accurate in this mirror mode, so I'm not going to show it, or please don't take this. Like he's very
Okay.
upfront, in my opinion.
Okay. That's good.
Sounds reasonable.
There are loading screens that are about 5 seconds long. In the video, they're 6 seconds long. So mirror mode is a little bit slower.
Hmm. And that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, you can read the comments. You can watch the video from the dev that's linked in there. if you want to dig in a little deeper. But
Okay.
it gives a good overview. And there is actually a nice helpful tip in there. There's like a boss battle that he fights. And I fought the boss battle the same way the Destination Playdate fights it, which is more difficult than the tip that the dev gives in the comments. He says, "Oh, you don't need to keep doing this difficult technique. You can just run up and beat on the boss with your
Use a
bat."
weapon
Yeah, yeah.
instead of
Instead of trying to play
running away
baseball
from
and
it.
hit it with a rock over him. So anyway,
Okay,
it was handy.
You were using
nice.
the pet the head and coax him to sleep method. Is that right?
Well, he has a helmet. Once the helmet's off, you can just go in and hit it with the bat. You don't have to keep trying to knock the helmet off.
Okay.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Very cool. Well, thank
it's
you
a
for the
cool game.
destination
It's a cool
update,
game.
Don.
Worth checking out.
Cool. All right. Well, that means we're into our Hubity 75th anniversary respectful boop, 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 boop in the
Mm.
inventory, where we encourage you to rate and review all the stars for any of the games that you happen to go try out. Helps the devs. They seem to like it. So if you get a game, hey, go review it. And with that, Don, you want to take us through our indie inventory?
Sure. First up from Slicer 256 is a game called Productivity Rabbit. And this one is fully featured, but it's going to be adding more features that I think will make it more interesting soon. This is name your own price. It's not quite a Pomodoro timer, but will add features that make it more like a Pomodoro timer. This one right now, you can set a timer for when you're working, and it'll keep track of that set a timer when you're studying, I think, and two other options. So it's just a quick little timer setting thing, and it keeps track of your schedule. But I played a little bit of it, and it was pretty cute and easy to use. But they're going to add furniture and whatnot to decorate your little rabbit hutch at some point.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
So
pulled a Baldridge on this. I've downloaded, have not played, but it looks really interesting to me. Like I might actually use this for a productivity tool. Looks like it
yeah,
has some real lovely graphs there where you can kind of track your progress throughout the week too. This had me excited, genuinely.
it's pretty simple right now, honestly. But I think once they add those a carrot on the stick of adding furniture and stuff, it'll be a little more interesting.
See what you did there,
Nice,
Don.
Don.
Ah, yes. Next up is Hablet by Pious Pigeon. This one downloaded but have not played. It's some sort of card game. It's free for a limited time also. Well, it's name your own price for a limited time, but it's a real-time habit city builder. I think you play a few minutes a day to build a little town with
Mhm.
a enigmatic concierge, they say. So if you blow it off though, if you start to build it and then stop checking in, your city will start to fall to ruin. So there's hundreds of buildings, there's dialogue, and it's a cozy game. I like the
I
idea
like
of
the
daily games. So go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
I like the Atari 2600 cover graphic,
Is that not
Hmm.
amazing? Oh my gosh. Scroll down and you can even see the vertical orientation
the
of it
full
too.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, beautiful.
Beautiful. One of my favorite books is that Atari cover
Art
art.
of
Art of
Atari.
Atari.
Art of
Yep.
Yeah.
Atari. Yes, I
Yep.
love that. So
On
So
good.
my
good.
shelf behind me. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. You're a man of fine taste, Don.
Right. Anyway, so that's worth checking out. Hablet. That's name your own price right now. At some point, it will be a price though. So. And then last up in itch any games anyway, is from J-Mation Simple Pinball, which is free. I had to mention this one, of course, and I did play a little bit of it.
Mhm.
Have you guys tried this yet?
I've only tried it in GIF form so far.
Okay. So this is very simple. Two flippers, you use A and B. I wish you could map it to your D-pad for the left flipper, but it's just a ball and three bumpers, and you get points when you hit the bumpers, and that's about it. Um, maybe
It
a
looked
little
like
too
it was
simple, but
It looked like it was kind of a proof of concept type thing to me, so I did not
yeah.
download. But with that said, they're on their somethingth version. They have a few different versions up here to download, and so in theory, it's getting more developed, and hopefully they'll keep developing. See what else they come up with here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the last update was 4 days ago as of the time of this recording. So it looks like it's in fairly active development, which is cool.
I have not played the latest version, but um I love the logo, and
Hmm.
it's not a one-off trash. This is my baby's first Playdate game or anything. Like there is definitely
Wow.
some, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of games, like I wouldn't mention it if it was just baby's first Playdate game. There were like something like 20 games that came out in the last 2 weeks, and most of them were very, very rough demos. This is not a very rough demo. This is a polished demo.
Man, Don putting baby's first Playdate game in the corner. Yeesh.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
So, so Don, how are the physics? I'm very curious because of the screen size of the Playdate, how it felt when it played.
For what it is, it plays well. The physics are fine. Yeah, looking at the GIF, it's a good representation of what you're getting.
Very
It's
cool.
not Zen pinball or something, but it's competent. Yeah. It's
I
very
wonder
simple. It's simple pinball. It's as advertised.
I wonder if as it gets developed, they'll change the name to competent pinball or reasonably
Com-
accurate pinball
Complex
or
pinball.
there
I
you
Yeah.
feel like
go.
you could still add quite a bit and keep the name,
Hmm. Yeah.
in my opinion.
Oh,
It's
that gives me an idea that I'll tell you all about later.
okay.
Mm,
I look forward to hearing more.
Nick, you tease.
We
All
should
right.
we should move on to the catalog games because we got quite a few. They've been making updates every week.
Yeah, they have. Let's hear about them.
Keeping with the Pomodoro timer thing, Busy Buddy by Electric Vibe Software for $4 right now. So this is a Pomodoro timer, but you speak to little friends and have dialogue with them as your part of your break. So, and it's supposed to be highly customizable. This one I have not played, but you can set different focus times, different break times. You can swap buddies, and I think you build relationships with them as you speak to them during your break periods. I don't
Very
know, but
cool.
it looks cute.
Yeah,
I want to know
Yeah.
how
it's a
you
neat idea.
communicate with them. Are you like selecting a radio button from a multiple choice list, or do you speak to them with your voice? How does this happen?
I don't think you speak to them with your voice. I think they
Oh,
just
that'd be
pop up
cool.
and have a little dialogue
A little
they want to
chat.
share with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Hey, buddy, what are you doing Sunday? That kind of thing.
And then you have to respond somehow. Is that where the radio buttons come in?
That's when you ignore them and go back to work.
Yeah.
Is that how
Time's
a
up.
Pomodoro timer works? Okay.
Yeah.
Teaches you to be rude. All right.
Juxtagram by Power Dive Game, $7. We mentioned this one a couple weeks ago when it came out on itch, but now it is on catalog. It looks like a really nice polished um
Picrossy type game.
nanogram Picross. Yeah. So I will be playing this at some
Hey,
point. Still have not played.
hey,
Don't
wait,
ask.
Ryan?
Don't ask.
Ryan?
No,
I'm
don't do it.
curious.
Don't embarrass me.
Okay,
Killing me,
I
Ryan.
won't.
I've been playing Sega Genesis Picross like every night for weeks to fall asleep.
Oh
Months
yeah,
even. I've over 25 hours in it over the past 6 months.
Wow.
Ryan,
nice. How many of
Yes.
those awake, Don?
a decent fair number. I'm on the
All
last
right.
page, so
Wow.
a lot of puzzles. Okay.
My
Volumental.
issue
Hmm?
is falling asleep and leaving the in-game timer running. So
Oh, when I get that
racking
sleepy,
up
I
those
turn it
hours
off. I
without
turn it
play.
off and put it down.
Never give
I
up.
don't want to sleep with the Switch.
Okay.
Okay. Volumental by Cody Newmiller, $4. This
Mhm.
is volleyball game, but with the elements.
Did we
Fire, ice.
did we talk about this already?
This came to itch a few weeks back.
Okay.
Yeah, so now it's here on catalog.
Okay.
So
This is why these are looking so familiar.
this looks like Nick, you have to help me. Is it California Games with the rotating arms, or is it River City Ransom?
Are you
What?
thinking Super Dodgeball? It kind of gives me those sort of vibes. Um, or Super Spike V Ball for the
Maybe
NES.
that's the one. Yeah, I've definitely seen the rotating arms volleyball games back on the NES.
Nick, you
Uh,
have an impressive sport game knowledge. Are you hiding sport
Indeed.
knowledge from me? What's happening here?
I'm familiar with the NES library.
He's a
That's
big
the
old
only,
jock.
yeah. And David Crane's Amazing Tennis on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I
Oh,
missed that
really?
one. I'll ask you if that's any good after the show. Playdate
Okay,
stuff.
sounds
What
good.
else?
Anyway, check that one out. Cyber Run by Crazy Productions. $5. This one I talked about a while back. It's
Wait,
sort of like,
Oh,
hold on. This is not just Cyber Run. This is
that's right.
Uncle Victor. Uncle Victor in Cyber Run.
sorry, yeah, I
I think
forgot
that's
it.
an important element of this game.
We will see Uncle Victor return in Ghost on the Run. This is a prequel to
Mm.
For the new Atari system,
yes.
the VCS. Interesting.
This is like a cyberpunk Pac-Man kind of thing.
Mhm.
It was pretty fun. I think I had a hard time with the rules, if I remember right. I haven't gone back to check it again, but I remember
And
liking it.
it was made in pulp.
Yes. Yeah, made in pulp. Oh, yeah,
I,
yeah, I do remember. I didn't have a hard time with the rules. The first level, like it gives you 30 seconds or something to solve it, and you need like 31 seconds to solve it. Like I was trying over and over and over, and I was always missing one coin until
Mm.
I finally was like, dude, this is a little too hard. So I talked to the dev about it. So maybe it's a little bit easier now. But it was really fun.
Do you ever get to see the retirement age fellow in game? It's such an amazing card on the catalog page.
Uncle Vector? I don't know. Good question, Ryan. Give it a shot and
Okay.
report back. Search for Uncle Victor.
Pressure's on. Okay. What else we
Yes.
got?
We got Trackmania by Eli Pelon. Pelonin? Pelonin? I'm going to butcher that dude's name. We mentioned that this was coming. I had no idea that this was on was it the Uncranked Direct a couple weeks ago? Anyway, if you're familiar with Trackmania, now it's here on the Playdate. I cannot believe this exists on the Playdate, but it's
This
got
looks so silky smooth. My goodness.
daily
So,
randomized tracks, a track editor. Yes, Nick.
uh, question about Trackmania.
Hmm.
Um, were there collisions in Trackmania?
I don't think so. I think you
Okay,
just ghosted through other
you
cars. It
you
was
can
it was all about
clip through
time
other cars.
trials.
Huh.
Like you would see other ghosts, and that would give you an idea of like, okay,
Oh,
I gotta beat this ghost to get the best
Uh-huh.
time,
okay.
and this is how
Those are
they.
intentionally ghosts. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you
Okay.
following computer ghosts or are you following a ghost of your previous track time?
Both. I mean, it could
Hmm.
be hundreds of yourself, or
Hmm.
dozens at least of yourself,
I
or
was gonna say hundreds. It's
uh,
amazing.
possibly hundreds. I don't know. Have you seen those
Really?
videos? Yeah, where there's just like
No.
hundreds or dozens and dozens of cars on the same
My
track,
gosh. Really?
like
Crazy.
On the
packing the
Playdate?
track. I don't know about on the Playdate. I'm just saying in
Oh, oh,
Trackmania. Yeah.
oh.
On the
Okay.
Playdate, it shows three cars. I'm guessing that's pushing it. And I don't know if it's you or if it's like the daily best is one of them, and
Uh,
you're trying to beat the daily bests,
Hmm.
or your friends,
Neat.
or what. It says sharing features to let your friends compete against your best replays. So I'm guessing one of those is you, one of those is your friends, and one
Oh,
of them
that'd be
is your current
killer.
run.
Share your best time with your buddy and he can use that ghost to try to beat it. What a cool
That'd be
feature.
awesome. Yeah. It looks
Yeah.
like
Wow.
it's got leaderboards for every track, I'm guessing. I mean, there's a whole bunch here.
Wow.
24 tracks. So
Neat.
Huh.
yeah, I'll definitely be
This
playing
is
this.
really cool looking.
Yeah, very cool. So that's Trackmania. And
$8 if we haven't mentioned it.
yes. Next up is Andy Presents Cribbage. $5 and it's made by Andy. I do not know how to play cribbage, but this looks pretty
But you
slick.
can learn.
I hope so. Has a
On
brief
the Playdate, no
tutorial.
less. Yeah.
Yes.
Even
Don't know what to say.
scoreboards for daily challenges. That's neat.
There you go. Yeah. A tight grouping on
The
today's scoreboard.
animations and graphical elements look very clear and
Hmm.
distinct.
Yeah, this looks really slick. So that is Andy Presents Cribbage. Next up is One More by Everyday Software, $4. This is a Pomodoro timer with a few clever tricks.
Don, are
Right.
you trying to tell us that we need to be more productive?
There's just a run on Pomodoro timers lately. I don't know. Yeah,
This
I don't know what else to say about
It's
this.
the current Playdate developer meta is
I guess
make.
they saw that
I've
Big Ben article and they just everybody's got to add.
I would venture to say that this might be the most clear at a glance timer that I've
Yeah.
seen
Mhm.
on Playdate so far. Like it really pares down the information, really raises the size of the text, and boy howdy, this seems like it would be a real easy, click and go or glance over type of thing. One more by
Mhm.
Everyday Software.
Yeah. I have had a hard time focusing lately, so maybe I do need to buckle down and try one of these.
Man, you and me both. Let's maybe we should do like a all Pomodoro episode at some
Oh,
point. We can compare
what
them
Pomodoro of the
if
all.
yeah,
week.
we each did a different Pomodoro timer and compare notes on
Hmm.
who was most productive.
Mm, there you go. Top 10 Pomodoro timers of
Huh.
2025. You're onto something, Nick. All
Oh,
right.
well, here we go. No
Occasionally.
wonder this is so clear and readable. Consultant and design, Nevin Mergen. Look at that.
Aha.
All
Went
right.
straight to the top.
Will Cosgrove, nice work pulling in the big guns there. All right. What else we got done?
We got Skyward Battles by Crankwork Games, $7. This one has been near the top of the charts on itch for quite a while, but here it is finally on catalog. Very cool side-scrolling um, arcade shooter. Yeah, 20 missions in the game, bosses, mini bosses, lots of different enemies. I think I purchased but haven't played. I'm not sure. Reminds me of a game called, I think, Skyfall. No, Glory Days. Glory Days 2 for on the DS that I liked quite a bit.
The directional action of this airplane is absolutely bonkers,
Mhm.
but it
It's
it
very
looks
interesting. Yeah.
but it looks like a very fun and challenging game. This like side-scrolling plane action, but I'm guessing because of the crank, you rotate 360 degrees with your plane.
Yeah,
Uh, Very cool looking though. Looks like there's a ton on the screen to contend with too. Wow, really neat.
very fun arcade action here on Skyward Battles. And last up is Bonafido by Ray, $5. This was a Game Jam game a while back, but now it is here in full featured form. Got a leaderboard with high scores. Single
Oh,
screen platformer. I think we've all played this on some Game
yeah.
Jam and liked it.
I really liked it. Very cool.
Yes. It's got a original Mario Brothers sort of gameplay vibe to it.
Mhm.
Nice work fleshing that out, Ray, and getting it on catalog. Cool.
There
Well,
you
did
go.
you know that even though those are all the new catalog drops, did you know that catalog is doing some blasts from the past? Did you know about this?
Yeah. Tell us more.
Well, Don, don't forget this Bluesky link because it even points to the fact that catalog and Playdate are calling out these formerly new games along with new games. So this week they're calling out Carve Jr. and Island, letting people know about these great games that have already been released, but kind of pointing people toward them again. It sounds like from the developer community that once a game is released, it has an initial spike, and then people kind of forget about it for the sake of the new games coming out because there's so many new games coming out all the time. I mean, we're getting them every week now on catalog, at least for the time being. All that to say, it's nice that they're kind of putting a spotlight on some existing games too to try to give those devs a little spike in revenue. That's cool. That's cool. I like it. What are you guys' thoughts on it? Do you want to see these old games again, or are you angry that they're mentioning them for a second time?
Angry.
Anger.
Nick looks
Does it make
pissed
you
right
angry?
now.
Nick, that's just my normal face, Don. Thank you. Um, No, I'm excited about that. I think
Yeah.
as more new users get their playdates, having the exposure to some of the existing amazing games which are available on catalog is only a good thing. So
Emphatic
this is a
nodding.
really that works really well on a podcast. Um, so yeah, this is a great move by Panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this
Nice move.
we actually had some conversation in the Discord this week talking about how game sales have really slumped on older titles. A couple devs have
Mm.
been talking about that, and this
Mhm.
is a way to hopefully boost and give recognition to older games that are, they're really great. They're just buried.
Hmm.
We
Yeah,
we don't we
at the
don't
very
have
least,
something like
shine a spotlight on them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not getting tattoos and fan art necessarily shoved in our face over and over, like we might see from regular gameplay fields from about Zelda tattoos and whatnot. So it's cool to see stuff like Bloom and Gravity Express pop up this week in my feed. It's like, oh yeah, well,
Hmm.
these games are awesome.
Well, hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to read these on sale games. There's only three of them. And speaking of tattoos, let's each get a tattoo of the currently on sale game. What do you guys say? I claim
Mm,
Snecris. Snecris is my tattoo. Who's getting Rotary Gun Simulator World War II? Whoever claims that.
um,
Whoever claims
we'll
that, the
talk about this off
remaining
air.
Orbo. Okay. So
Yeah.
on sale games this week, Rotary Gun Simulator is 25% off for $6. Snecris, ooh, one of my faves, from $4 down to $2, 50% off. And then the third one, who's getting this tattoo? It's Orbo from $5 down to $3, 40% off Orbo this week. So check them out, guys.
Very cool. Thank you, Ryan.
You got it. Here for you. Oh, that means I need to boop 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 anniversary boop us into. I'm sorry for that. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. This
You know,
episode is from Don. Don, tell us about your pick of the week.
I was ready to blow right by the boobs.
Oh,
I heard your
I thought he
feelings.
forgot.
I heard that pregnant pause. That was a hopeful pause, if I'm interpreting correctly.
It's hopeful, all right. Spilled Mushrooms by John Weechock. While embarking on a grand journey to deliver a basket of extremely important mushrooms, you accidentally spilled them, all of them, in a lot of places. Fortunately, you befriended a whole squad of local critters to help you recover the lost fungi. Try to gather as many as you can before your delivery deadline. Spilled Mushrooms is a card puzzle game with quick and charming puzzles. So yeah, so the idea is you collect a deck of animals over time. The more you play, the more animals you collect, and it shuffles up the animals, gives you a deck. So it's a deck builder. And then at the same time, I guess you're unlocking locations, and you get three locations. You get your deck of animals, and you have to play a certain number. You have to collect a certain number of mushrooms as designated by the locations over a certain number of days. So you can only play, I think it's like 5 cards from this deck over the course of these three locations, and hopefully you'll collect all the mushrooms at the locations. And 7 days. Sorry, Ryan's saying seven. Um, each card has a different ability, and each location has a different ability. Some of them have no special abilities, but most of them have some sort of special ability, either augmenting the number of days you have to collect or the number of mushrooms you can collect, or helping each other. The helping or hurting each other. The animals will help or hurt each other depending on how they're organized. The crank comes into play in that you can read their abilities by tapping the crank real quick. And the game has a ton of polish in that there's just tons of menus. There's tons and tons of options. And it's almost like very few rocks were left unturned, stones were left unturned, in that if you really want to get good at playing the goat, you can lock the goat into your deck. And every time you play, you'll have a goat in there. So you can really get good at learning how to play the goat. I think you can do that with locations too, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you. And it keeps track of all your stats and whatnot. And there's also daily challenges and stuff. So anyway, that's the quick and dirty on what is a complex card game that doesn't have to be. It's overwhelming at first, and I think the learning curve is gradual, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. So maybe we'll start with Ryan. What did you
Okay.
think of spilled mushrooms?
Thank you. Well, coming from our goat, Dawn, over to me. Excellent. Thank you. I thought this game was super fun. Um, like you said, a little complex, a lot to learn, and it comes with a tutorial and an instructioneer, if you will, to begin the game if you want, which is great. I'm glad that's included. I come from the days of physical manuals and lament their passing, so it was really great to have a tutorial in game if you need it, which I would suggest. I think everybody's going to need it for this game. But while I had a very good time playing this game, my difficulty was getting into the game. So that instructional portion that I mentioned, to my personal brain, and maybe this varied for other people, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this, but I felt like the instructions did not spell things out as clearly as I would like. And the parts where I thought that were like, okay, cup means you will collect that number of mushrooms each day. Like that, those words were not said in the instructions. And I feel like that set me back, a half hour to an hour in learning, just kind of pushing my way through the game and seeing what it did rather than the instructions saying those words to me. So I got it eventually, but it took me a while to get there. It also did not say the words uh, hourglass equals number of days your animal will survive. And again, I felt like that was something I needed to pick up on myself. I went back through those instructions like two or three different times over, and I think maybe, and again, I want to hear from you guys. I think maybe it's my brain that was not interpreting those to mean those things. But man, the instruction didn't work for me, and I wanted those very clear words said to me. I also did not understand that the instructions tell you crank down to figure out the superpower or the super hindrance of each animal. So you can learn what each animal does. Okay, I
Mhm.
understand that. That was a good instruction. But then there was not an instruction saying crank down on the environments to see what the environments do. And I sort of stumbled across that by accident. So there were just a number of nuances of the game that I wish I would have been told about, and then I felt like I could have got up to speed sooner and my enjoyment would have happened sooner. But once I understood all that, I really enjoyed this game. There's a lot to take in, and if you are a detailed oriented person and enjoy finding out about whoopsies and enjoy finding out about different ways to play and affect a game, uh, man, I think this one's for you. Don hit the nail on the head when he was saying that this game is crazy polished. It just feels like it feels like everything's there. It never glitched up on me and never hung up. I love the fact that even though this could have been sort of a dry card game, like plus one mushrooms or minus one day or what have you, um, could have just been a blank card. But I like the fact that animals and personalities and artwork were assigned to each of these cards. The artwork is really great too, like not only on the animals, but the environments look killer as well. So I want to say a big kudos on the artwork. Looks like he had a couple different folks helping him out there. Uh, Didi Kekosubi was on landscape art, and Dan Mafra was on animal art, so I want to call them out too. Yeah, so anyway, I guess I'll sum it up by saying I really enjoyed the game, thought it was crazy polished. I wish for me the instructions would have been laid out a little more clearly and thoroughly. Nick, what do you think?
Thanks, Ryan. So I wanted to dive a little deeper into the mechanics and just talk about um, some things that went into the game, and then some thoughts that I had about those mechanics. But before I do that, I do want to echo this is like an amazingly polished game. There's no lag anywhere in this game. The animations are beautiful. The artwork is beautiful. The flavor text is fun. And there are options available in the menu um, that may help you. One of which that we haven't discussed is that you can exchange cranking for B button presses, which kind of turbo powered something which I'm going to talk about mechanically shortly. Um, but I just want to say this is a beautiful and fun game. I enjoyed the mechanics of it. And I enjoy card games and learning new rules and those kinds of things. The trouble that I had with this game is that there are a lot of rules, like a tremendous number of rules. I can't overstate how many rules there are in this game. And for me, what happened is I understood the basics. So Ryan, I did not get tripped up by the iconography of the baskets, not cups, and the hourglasses, and their meanings. I thought that was fairly clear, and a lot of the iconography was pretty clear. I think I didn't um, have any issue understanding what that meant. But what I did have an issue with is everything having its own unique effect, and I think that's a really cool touch. And I'm gonna give a thought that I would have if I were to create a game like this. So this is not a condemnation of this game. I think it's great. It obviously is appealing to the vast majority of players. I found that I had a really, really, really hard time getting into this because I could not keep all the effects straight in my head. And as you play, you're unlocking more animals, you're unlocking more environments, and each new land, each new animal has its own new effect. And so you have to really understand the way that these new effects will um, change the nature of the game when you have other cards at play. So, for example, there might be an animal that is timid. And if you play that animal and then play another animal in the same environment, the timid animal runs away. That one's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to intuit. Some of them are much, much more difficult to intuit. So, what I ended up doing, and this is going to sound insane, is that I wrote down the effect of every single modifier in the game. So each card displays just the name of the modifier by default. So timid, that example, would just display in the corner of the card. So you have to know what timid does. Or you press B to review. When you press B, you get a fly up card which hides some of the screen area. And so you can't see the different lands or the other cards which are already played. You're dealing with a very small screen size to begin with. So this is not a fault of the UI. It's just the nature of how I tried to think through the puzzles. I found it very, very difficult to kind of match that up. So essentially, as I played, and I played through 2,300 mushrooms worth. Um, and the dev mentioned that the last unlock is at about 4,200 mushrooms. So I played through a good chunk. And what I found is that approximately every 3 rounds, I was unlocking a new modifier, whatever that was. And then that would be incorporated and randomly shuffled into the deck. If I were to make a similar type of game, I would probably allow the player more time to understand the existing rule set before expanding it. Because I found that I became very frustrated very quickly with each new unlock, because it was like an entirely new game every every time I played, which is cool, but it was really, really, really hard for me to connect with the game in that way until I took the step of writing out all those effects and really thinking about how the interplay worked there. Um, and again, that's no knock against the UI. Maybe it's just a Nick brain thing. Um, maybe I just didn't connect with the intended experience, but that is um, what I would do were I to make a similar game. Regarding other things, though, I did want to heap some more praise on this dev and this game. This thing is entirely written in Lua, and I'll explain why that's a huge deal. First of all, Lua is uh, really slow in comparison to C. So C and Lua are the two options for making games on the Playdate. Those are there's more options now, but those are the two parts of the SDK. And C is like a lower level language, which is much faster. And then Lua is a higher level language, so like you're speaking in more of a natural voice about the thing that you're designing. But because of that, it has to be interpreted kind of back down to a way that the machine can understand it. And so that interpretation is slow. Um, it's frankly amazing that this thing is so performant in all the different ways that it is performing, and it was written entirely in Lua. All right, so that's thing one. Thing two, and this blew my mind, is the way that the decision tree works within the game. So it's constantly, while it's playing animations to the user, reevaluating the uh, moves that can be made and effects that those will have within the game. So the reason this is mind blowing is because every puzzle is finishable, and as you're playing, it may not seem that way, but every puzzle is not only finishable, but it's finishable in multiple ways usually. So there's a hint system that's built in, and this hint system leads you through one path, but it's not necessarily the only path to success for that puzzle. And I think that's incredible. That's some really clever design work and really clever um, hidden functionality of the game. You know, that's hidden from the user. The fact that the game is constantly reevaluating and it never puts you in a dead end position unless you put yourself there. Um, so that was very impressive to me. Um, but yeah, it's a fun game. I thought I did feel like I was being bombarded by all the different modifiers, but it's so cool all the different modifiers that the dev came up with. I think it would be tricky to build a game that had so many different types of things that can happen and still maintain that solvability, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, great job. And, I enjoyed being able to talk directly with the dev in the Discord, and he provided a lot of context for uh, what was done and the decisions made.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I wanted to jump in and say thank you to the dev for chiming into our Discord as well
Mm-hmm.
and make some apologies because I came in and voiced my opinion about the instructional portion, and then he had some responses, and then I did not have time to come back in and respond before our episode here. So, on-air apologies to you, Sir Dev. So I wish I could have jumped back in there and had some more conversations, but it's always so cool to have the dev come in and chat about the game as we're all playing it in real time. So big thanks for that.
Yeah, that was a really interesting conversation that you had, Nick. You guys had quite a lengthy conversation in there and brought up a lot of cool points, and it was nice to see the dev Scissors, I think his name is, on
Mhm.
Discord, engaging with you. That was really fun. I was going to ask you guys, did you have any rounds where you, there were a lot of rounds where I failed, or I would know by day five, like this is not going well, and I don't think I'm going to be able to tie this up. Were there any rounds where you like blew the top off it, and day five you won or something, or you won really early and just had
Um, yeah, a couple.
okay,
Hmm, not
Um,
me.
it's it was quite the experience. So when I started, that's an additional point that I was actually going to make is that when I started, I felt like I was just flailing around and I could not solve any of these puzzles. It was like a real stroke of luck if I happened to solve it. Um, but once I had taken that step of writing out all the effects and then
Mm,
continued to keep that up as I unlock new stuff, I found that the solvability for me went up massively. Like 4
Hmm,
out of 5, I was completing instead
hmm.
of maybe 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5 max. So that was a huge improvement.
I didn't click through to the link, but it sounded like there was a link online that showed the card types. Did you look at the one you
So
posted on Discord?
yes, so there in the Playdate wiki, there's a list of the effects, but they're just named. They're not
Oh,
the effects themselves are not listed. So that's what I ended up doing. I'm gonna try to go back and fill in uh, the wiki with some additional information, maybe um, if I can figure out how to do that. But
cool.
it's yeah, that's a good resource and a good way to kind of get a feel for the number of different effects that are available for sure.
So, Nick, I have a question for you because you took
Hmm.
the liberty of writing down all these uh, characteristics of the different animals, the different cards, the effects they would have. Um, I'm curious how that process sat with you. And I am asking this because you, like me, are an NES kid when we were playing games in the time of really punishing games for one, and two, like there's not a lot of resources you had at that time to go look online or look at YouTube to see how a dungeon maze is laid out or anything like that. And you're physically mapping out on graph paper where you're going in these different places. So I guess I'm asking you, did that process harken back to gaming of our youth for you, or was that like an arduous process that you wish you didn't have to do and there was a resource that you could go check rather than writing all that down yourself?
So the difference I would say is one of expectation. So if I'm playing a gold box game or something of that nature, I expect to need some graph paper like Wizardry, some of those older role playing games that have no mapping features. For a game like this, there was not the expectation that I had going in that would be necessary. And really, the only reason that I felt it was necessary to do so is just the pace of the unlocks, which I know I've harped on a lot here. But if that pace was slower and it gave the player more time to sit with the existing rule set before modifying it and feel like they are gaining some momentum and ability to solve puzzles on their own before changing it, I feel like that step wouldn't have been necessary in this instance for me. For,
I guess you could lock a deck.
yeah, and I thought about doing that, and then I said, I want to see this game and experience it as it was intended to be experienced by
Hmm.
default. Um, so for the show, I usually try to do something like I might change a button modifier, like crank to button,
Hmm.
like I did for this one, but I try not to change the rule set too badly.
Yeah,
Um,
I get that. Sometimes in roguelites or roguelikes or whatever, I unlock too much stuff too quickly and kind of end up leaning on the same weapons, but you don't really have
mhm,
that convenience here, and because the deck is shuffled each time.
because it's randomized. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does, I don't know this, and I haven't been through all the dev logs, which another heaping of praise on the dev. really thoughtful and well constructed devlogs, um, which are really pleasant to read, I found. Um, but perhaps um, completely lost my train of thought.
What about the devlogs?
What were you saying before I mentioned devlogs?
Roguelikes and being able to choose, not necessarily lean on the same old things, but in this game you get a new deck each time, so you can't really.
Oh, uh, so uh, I'm not certain if the deck is weighted more towards new items.
Hmm.
So as you get a new unlock, it's guaranteed to be in the next round, or it's guaranteed to be in the next 3 rounds, or whatever the case is. That
Yeah.
seemed to be my experience, um, but I wasn't certain if that was uh, intended or intentional. It would make sense that you would want the player to experience that right away, but
Yeah.
that compounded the feeling of like overwhelm.
Yeah. Cool. We should also mention real quick that trophies are a big part of the game. You unlock trophies as you play, and it's kind of fun to see them pop up, but they'll pop up frequently. Like if you complete the delivery on day 5 or whatever, you'll get a trophy, but you'll get it every time you deliver it on day 5. It's not a one-time thing, but it's fun to see them pop up.
And those pop up in the bonus area, right?
Yeah, the top left,
Hmm.
they're like little black bars. Oh, Ryan's muted.
Boy, day 5 deliveries, huh? Man, I think the best I got was a day 6. You guys are doing day
Yeah,
5.
or
Anybody get
day
day
6.
4? Is that even possible?
No, I didn't get a day 4.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But sounds
Anyway,
like you got to pick up some more mushrooms, right?
I guess so. I guess so. Need some bigger baskets.
the luck of the draw, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Excellent.
that's Spilled Mushrooms
Thanks
by
for
John Wheatchalk.
recommending this one, Don.
Yeah, something
Enjoyed my
different.
time with it. Yeah.
Cool.
Same. Yeah, Don, you've always got some killer picks and ones that I would not think to pick on my own. So thank you for choosing this. And thank you to John Wheatchalk for making this super polished game and also being real active on our Discord. Very, very cool of you all around. Which brings us to our next episode's pick of the week, which is nothing because we're doing our best of 2024. You guys ready for that? It's our annual tradition. We look back on the games that we've played over the course of the past year, and we let you know our top 10. We see where our picks overlap. We see where they don't. We agree, we argue, we cry, we make up all in one episode, and that's happening next time. So, my pick of the week will not be happening next episode. It will be happening the episode after that. So, I will announce that after we talk about the best of 2024, our best of 2024. All righty. So that brings us down the home stretch, which means if you want to chat with us, you can email us at helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find our podcast at playdatepodcast.com. You can hop on our Discord if you like. You can go to our Blue Skis. We are helloplaydate.theblueski.thesocial.theblueskis.app.https. The everything. We are also other things, but you know what I like to direct you to is that Bingo's tip line. That tip line is 724 Bingo's 1. That's 724-246-4671. We haven't heard from your melodious voices recently, but we would sure love to and guilt Dawn into editing it into the show. So call
Don,
it up.
I do have a question about that. Don, if a listener calls and they have a bingo repair question, should we splice it into this?
Oh, that is
They,
so non sequitur if people listening to the show don't know you, but thank you for saying that, Nick.
they're
But
using the Pomodoro timer via the Playdate while they're doing bingo repair. Sure.
on
There we
their
go.
on their multi bingo. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Cool. Yes. So Nicholas Baldridge, the bingo master, has graciously allowed us to share his bingo tips line. So if you want to call and leave a non-bingo message, you can for us at 724-246-4671. And am I missing anything, guys? Did we forget something?
I think we're good. Thank you so much for
Okay.
listening. We really appreciate it.
All right. Salutes to you for listening this far. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye all.